one of the questions that I'm sure you get daily, that is probably the most popular question, relates to fiber. And, we've really been programmed to believe that we need to eat fiber in order to have proper elimination, proper digestion. And yet so many people who have gone carnivore have actually seen improvement in their digestion. And when you look at the span of time, I think you maybe had one chart talking about, if you put human history sort of on a clock,
Yep.
the amount of time that we've been, an agriculture-based civilization is so minute compared to all these years that, we were not pre-agricultural, that we
Yep.
were just eating meat. And it's
Primarily
this little
meat.
window that all these diseases have come up, right?
Yep, exactly. And that analogy is, if you take the 2.4 million years of human history and you put it on a 24-hour clock, we've been farming and producing grains for the last 6 minutes. So it's really, something that's new to us in our bodies, especially grains. I don't think, grains are healthy for anyone, especially in their current form that we have them. But yeah, it's as far as fiber, there is evidence out there if you look for it. There's studies that have shown. There's a Japanese study that showed, like for constipation, actually reducing fiber improved constipation, just the opposite of what we're told. Another study showed that they took 3 different levels of fiber, from basically a higher fiber to moderate fiber to basically almost no fiber, with dealing with colitis and there was diverticulitis, and the lower the fiber, the better results they had. So it's a lot of these things, if you think about fiber functionally and how the body digests, our human body digests things, fiber is largely unused. The only real thing that anybody can point to that we need fiber for is feeding the gut flora.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it largely just goes through our system. It bulks up our stools and some people think that helps, but there's a book called Fiber Menace that if you bulk up the stools, you're actually kind of irritating the bowels, right? Because you're expanding them, elongating them, and you're causing these other issues that can happen, like colitis, and because of that expanding. So it's really kind of very contrary to what is told these days, which, I mean, how many things have we been told over the last 20, 30 years about health that's been, if you do the opposite, you're probably better off.
Yeah, it is amazing. I get comments of people writing like, eat some vegetables, or like, how are you ever going to eliminate anything if you don't have plants? And it's just amazing how much we've been programmed to believe that and to question it, or, it's so interesting on carnivore too, because when you're eating mostly protein and fat, your body's utilizing a lot of that, as opposed to the plant matter, which we're not, which is why it's, being eliminated.
Well, and the perfect counter example to that is there's no fiber in breast milk. That's a 0 fiber diet when babies are being fed breast milk. And guess what? Babies typically can go poo just fine.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just like the main question, I think the main thing that people have. And I think what's really great is the chart that you guys made in the other book, in Keto, I believe, which shows the prebiotic content. It's also in your presentation, showing the prebiotic content of animal-based foods. And I think that is one of the things I try to share a lot, because it's really, really unknown. And even one of the things I was going to ask you is, considering how much of a prebiotic collagen is, could you practically consider bone broth a prebiotic food?
I think you can. There's a lot of other prebiotics though, like glucosamine chondroitin, which are in muscle meats. If you're eating dairy, there's like butyric acid that is another high fermentable. So these are different animal based things that can feed the gut flora. And one of the most interesting things from my presentation, and also I explore in a lot of detail in this book, is this study that was done on gut flora of people going from a kind of standard American diet to strict carnivore or strict vegetarian, and seeing what happens to the gut flora. And it really begs the question of, because what happened was all the same strains were present in either situation. So you still had all the same types of gut bugs. It's just that some got more common, some types of bugs increased in volume or numbers in the carnivore situation, and in the actually it wasn't a whole lot of change with the vegetarian from standard American diet, but with carnivore there was a big shift. And the question becomes, okay, why was there that big shift? You're obviously feeding certain bugs a lot more of things they like to eat when you're eating animal proteins, when you're eating carnivore. Some bugs, which prefer plant matter, are going to go down in volume. They're still there, there's just less of them. So, the really interesting thing is that change happens in 24 hours. As soon as within 24 hours of that new diet hitting the gut, boom, your gut flora changes drastically. So it's very flexible, and it responds to what you're eating. And so what is a healthy gut flora? That's the thing that, when we look at some of these studies and things looking at gut flora, if you take what is a gut flora today of somebody that is quote unquote healthy on a standard American diet, that's going to be a healthy gut for somebody eating the standard American diet, right? If you're not eating that, if you're eating something else like keto or carnivore, your gut flora, a healthy gut flora in that situation, is going to look different. And so, that's the thing that I struggle with some of these studies is, well, this strain of bugs went down when eating carnivore. Well, sure, because you weren't eating the plant matter that bug likes. But is that really a problem? As long as you got healthy gut flora for what you're eating, that's what's important.
Right, and a lot of the plant foods that are pointed to feed the gut, it's so that they make these short chain fatty acids, and ketones themselves are butyrate, right? So there's also that factor that probably supports the gut microbiome a little bit. Now,